When you're not observing, what are the things that you're not observing? Do they exist or are they just in waveform?
Seabiscuit is an underdog story. I love the underdog story. But what if you could just win now?
That image of yourself that you want needs to be one you love. That's the best way to be sold on yourself.
Life is a pitch. It's simply that. It is a pitch and it is fun. Let's make sure that you're being sold what you want and you're selling what you actually want to sell. I really just love selling. It's the easiest thing on the planet if you believe in yourself. Let's buckle up. By the way, my name's JL. This is Sell Anything.
Welcome back to the Sell Anything podcast. With me today, I have the one and only Ken Adams. Ken is a mental programmer, a linguini. He's a noodle.
Yes.
No, a linguist.
A linguist.
Yes.
Or a professional noodle. Yeah.
A professional noodle that can speak many languages very clearly. Better than a linguist. What the? That's a hard word, dude.
Linguist.
A linguist. That was not that hard.
Yeah.
So he's a linguist. And Ken actually has had a profound, that wasn't stuttering, that was just an emphasis, impact on me in mental programming. He's part of the upgrade world. He works hand in hand with William Lamb, who was on the show at the beginning of, I think, episode 3. So, Ken, it is such an honor to have you here. And not only is he all of those things, he's also a father of
5 kids.
5 kids.
Catching up to you. You got 7?
I have 7. Right? And you know, I am more than happy to pass you the baton. Keep going, big dog.
I know. Yeah. Anybody that has 7, they're like, you don't have to go to 7 if you don't want to. But you can.
You can go more if you want.
Well, my wife was 7th of 11 kids. So she thinks we have to have 7.
Minimum.
Because if her parents didn't have 7, she wouldn't exist.
It's a program.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
Okay. So in today's episode, we're going to dive into really wherever the wind takes us. But primarily, we want to know who on earth Ken is. What got you into mental programming? What are the benefits of mental programming in sales? A little bit about upgrade. And we may even get into some personal things of like, because Ken has this unique approach that he can read through what I'm saying and hear what I actually am saying. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. That makes sense. So that may happen. Who knows?
We'll find out, I guess.
I guess. Yeah. Okay.
So you wanted to know something about me.
Yeah. Tell me. Tell everybody about who on earth Ken Adams is.
Well, there's a lot to that answer, right? But I'll tell you just some stories. So I come from a background, you said a linguist, right? When I studied at Brigham Young University, I studied Russian, and you're a Russian speaker as well.
I also speak Russian, yes. Yeah.
And at the same time, I was working at the Missionary Training Center, which is an institution that trains thousands and thousands of missionaries to learn languages. And I was helping design their curriculum and helping implement that with the teachers in the classroom. So as part of the job, I wanted to observe the missionaries that were learning. And I think that's how you learned Russian, right? You were a missionary.
I was a missionary. Yes.
Learned Russian and
I went to the MTC, or the Missionary Training Center, was there for 12 weeks. Learned Gasaya is what they would say.
Gasaya, speak your language.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. Our guest that was just previous on, I served my mission with. He was the crumble gentleman we were telling you about.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. You served with him. That's cool. So I'm there at the Missionary Training Center, and I had a mentor who, he was really incredible, just a great guy. His name's Ray Graham. He was a professor at BYU for like 40 years or whatever. And he wrote the book on Kekchi, which is like a indigenous language.
Really?
He discovered actually how they speak it, and he wrote the grammar in a book and all that kind of stuff. So he's an OG dude that's been, in the language world for a long time. Well, when he sat next to me, he was about 80 years old, and I'm just learning everything I could from him. And he was telling me about language learners and their ability to progress. Now, this will all connect to sales at some point because it's all the same principles. He said this one question. He goes, what do you think is more important? Capability or motivation? And I said, not really sure. You tell me. He's the master, right? And he's like, well, motivation is more important. Like, interesting. He goes, because learners that have capability, if they have no motivation, they don't apply themselves. Learners with little capability, if they're motivated, they'll apply themselves, they'll learn, and they'll pass to other people.
That makes sense to me.
Obviously, the best is when you're capable and motivated.
Agreed.
Right? High talent, high motivation. That's a good deal. So that started getting me thinking about language learners and all these students that were coming in learning and how they can progress. Now, the interesting thing about the Missionary Training Center is that inside there, it's all controlled. So everyone eats at the same time. They eat the same food. They go to bed at the same time. They wake up at the same time. They have a similar profile of teachers, and they use a standard generic curriculum. Well, what this means for science is that you have a good controlled experiment, right? You can experiment and be like, and ask questions because everything is ordered, right? So how is it that you get a student or a group of students that are coming together, and let's say they're learning Russian, which the majority of people that learn Russian have no experience or exposure to Russian beforehand.
Didn't even know it was a thing.
And there's some
Rocky.
And there's some students, probably like yourself, that excelled, and there's others that didn't. Within the training period, you were probably there for 12 weeks.
I was, yeah.
All right. So within that training period, by the end of the 12 weeks, there's some students that are better and some that maybe didn't even progress at all.
But then when we all get to Russia, we're like, they did not teach us this language in the MTC.
Right.
Whatever they are saying over there.
But that's a different set of progress too. Once you get there, then at the end of the 2 years, someone speaks better. Or 18 months or 2 years, someone speaks better than
but it was Russian.
The ones that started.
It was Russian, but it was much different. Yeah.
Yeah. So how is it, the question was this, how is it that the same group of people with similar childhoods with, and not all of them were the same, but a lot of them similar childhoods, similar teachers, same class setting, same food, same sleep schedule. How is there such a difference in progress between them?
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
So I did a ton of study, and I was reading research articles, people that were in the foreign language teaching field that wrote tons of articles. The top.
So was this a self-induced, I'm studying this and I'm curious, or was this like an assignment of how do we scale this?
This is self-induced. This is self-induced, but like you have to understand that in the job, the role I had, I was very much the creative when it comes to curriculum, and I was solving some of their biggest problems.
Makes sense.
And so whatever it was, they would hand it to me. They'd be like, we got zero budget. You figure this out. And I was kind of
I'm
like
working for free.
Well, I got paid. I got paid.
Yeah.
But like I couldn't spend on anything else. It's kind of like, if you ever heard of Skunk Works or whatever it's called, it's like the Lockheed Martin's group of individuals that come together and brainstorm and solve some of the biggest problems. And they
It sounds cool.
You should look into it. It's interesting. They've created some of the best technology because they just have a group of individuals just focused on innovation. So for me, I was very focused on innovation and improving the curriculum. So that meant I was reading research articles. I was learning from the best. I was going to conferences and all that kind of stuff. What I learned was that the main factor in their improvement was their level of anxiety. So in the language learning world, linguistics, they call it the affective filter, which is how much do things affect them?
Affective filter.
Yeah.
Okay.
As in when they feel more anxiety, they perform worse.
100% across the board.
Across the board.
Yeah. In a sales pitch, in anything.
Anything.
Football, baseball, basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember playing baseball, and I always had a lot of confidence in baseball. My dad was a professional baseball player, my grandpa and my great grandfather. So fourth generation down.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of confidence, but I had this one coach in high school that railed on my confidence.
Yeah.
And broke it down. And I remember one game I was playing and I just could not even throw it to first base. I was like, I've forgotten my skills.
Jeez.
It was really bad.
Yeah.
And it matters, right? Your ability to handle adversity without anxiety matters in your performance and your skill.
100% it does. Okay.
And so when I was looking at the missionaries, I said, how do I help them? And there wasn't really anything that anybody knew how to do to solve that other than send them to a mental health counselor.
What's that gonna do?
I will say this, like there's some really good mental health professionals out there and they do great work. Just from my experience, most of them that went to the counselor ended up wanting to go home. They didn't actually improve. Right. So like they didn't go there and get it resolved, move forward and say, you know what? I don't have the anxiety anymore. I'm just going to start learning. I'm excited about this. That didn't happen.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So I was like, that's not working. And I started researching in the language learning field. I'm like, what's going to solve this problem? How do we reduce this anxiety so the capability goes up? And I found out this one linguist, he was writing about your concept of self in the future. And he said, if you create an identity of self in the future, of one that has learned the language, has done it successfully, and has overcome all the obstacles that could be there, and has made it all the way through to the finish, then the confidence of the language learner will increase and the trajectory of them getting there will change to that trajectory. I was like, wow, that's really fascinating. I've never heard of that.
So say that one more time, because that's powerful.
So basically, the image of yourself in the future affects how you perform in the now.
Okay.
So if you see yourself in the future as someone who is capable, who's accomplishing, who's creating, who's dominating, and you agree with that image, and you say, that is me, just in the future. Right?
Right.
I don't know if you've ever felt that before. Like maybe you're a young kid and you're like, I want to play football. Right? And you're little, probably a scrawny kid at some point, and you see all these big football players and you're like, one day that's me.
Yeah, I definitely had some things for sure. Even as a missionary, you go through that. You get into the mission field, right? And you're like, I'm going to be like that zone leader, or I'm going to be like that AP or whatever. I'm going to be like my mission leader. Like, yeah, 100%.
Have you ever noticed in your life that when you say that and you're congruent with that in the future, that it actually happens?
Every time.
Every time.
Every time. Yeah.
Every time. So I learned that, but I still didn't know how to apply it. And other than, let's make some activity where you think of yourself in the future, but there's still so much more to it. And it was about this time that I had met William Lamb, who's now running Upgrade. And I went to his house and I told him about this. And he's like, I can help you with that.
Yeah.
And I was like, and first of all, it was a little odd because I went to his house, he did some kind of meditation. I had never been exposed to meditation. Not once. Like maybe I'd done yoga a few times, but not like meditation.
Yeah.
And I was just
in Lehigh at
Traverse
Lehigh.
Mountain. In Lehigh. So you have to understand, like
that's where I met Will the first time too. And I was like, what is happening?
What is happening? Right? Like what's going on? You have to understand from an academic point of view, meditation isn't more important than research. Right? Because like you go and read research and you get your answers and you put things together and you're like, oh, that's how it goes. You got to wait for the research to be done and do your own research before you make any decisions. Meditation is tapping into deeper knowledge and wisdom to then pull that out and say, I can make a decision here. There are different ways of making decision, but you have to understand from an academic, it was a little weird.
Well, 100%. Yeah.
Right.
But it's meditation. The way I understand it is far more faith driven. And research is far more data driven.
Yeah, so much more.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so I met him, and at the same time, my wife had some severe separation anxiety. So it wasn't all just work, right? I was like, I don't personally have any anxiety issues. That's what I told him. I'm like, when it comes to language learning, I was that person who's like, drop me off in a helicopter or wherever you want. In 6 months, I'll be speaking like everybody else. Like it won't matter. I just enjoy it. I don't mind making mistakes, right? It's like I get out there, I make mistakes, I learn from it, I keep going, and I enjoy it. I actually enjoy the process of making some 40-something-year-old woman blush because you said a very inappropriate word on accident.
But she liked it.
She probably liked it. Right? I remember in one scenario in Ukraine, I was telling this lady about the Book of Mormon and how there's one point in there that's like the climax of the situation. But I didn't know how to say climax. So I just used the word.
Yeah.
But in Russian or Ukrainian, if you use that, it just means orgasm. Yes. So she was all blushing and the person I was with was blushing and it was funny, but I enjoyed it. Right.
Similar experience, man. Similar experience on a bus with one of my companions. Zharka has two meanings and he used it the wrong way. Yeah. And it was like, what?
You should probably say the meanings for.
So Zharka is hot or horny, and he was communicating with a teenage boy and said horny, and the kid was looking at him like, who is this weird American asking me if I'm horny and not hot? It was really uncomfortable, but funny once it was all said and done.
So if you think about that, like in sales, right? Yeah. Salespeople do that all the time too.
Yeah.
They use words, expressions, or phrases that just are weird.
100%. Yeah.
And they go at it in a completely wrong way. Learning sales is like learning a new language. Right? And so the same principle applies, which is you have to reduce your affective filter where your ability to enjoy what you're doing is more important than your fear of making mistakes. And so as you go about that and you're in sales, it's like, okay. And at this point I do sales with people that do 7 to 9 figures. Right. And originally that was intimidating because I was nowhere near that, like financially. Right. So like you get someone in there and you're like, I'm supposed to sell to this guy, but you learn, you let your enjoyment of the process be greater than the fear of the mistakes. And that is how you improve really fast. So when I met William, we went through this meditation and I was like, what do you do? He's like, NLP. I'm like, what the heck is that? He goes, neuro-linguistic programming. What is that? He goes, come to the training.
Yeah, that's what he says, man. Every time. Like, give me a little bit more. Come to the training. Yeah.
And I said, well, my wife also has this thing. She's like, take her to the training too. And I'm like, you know what? Why not? Right? It was one of those decisions, very low amount of data, but just felt right.
Right.
And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to do it. So
dude, every time Will has ever sold me anything, there's been no data. It just feels right. And I'm like,
that's a lesson right there in sales.
Yeah. 100%. Right? What's the lesson?
Can you generate the feeling that it feels right?
Correct.
For people.
Sales is a transfer of emotion.
Exactly.
Yes. 100%.
And you just have to transfer that emotion of this feels right. It's the right time to do this. Yeah. So anyway, we go to the training. He does this whole training. At the time it was like certification training where you can become a coach, you can certify, you can use it in your career. And which was great for me because I wanted to use it professionally. And then, just with my wife, I wanted to see if we could resolve that because she had gone to mental health professionals and they couldn't help her. And frankly, she hated it. She didn't want to manage her symptoms. Like she wanted them gone. So finally we got to the point where we were helping my wife and it was like a 1 hour thing. It didn't have to take that long, but I was the one helping her and it was my first time. So I was just really clunky and slow. And by the end, she let go of all her anxiety and she hasn't had separation anxiety since.
Powerful. So powerful. It's mental programming is a game changer. It literally, imagine running some type of virus through your mind that is not serving you and it's constantly spitting out an equation or an output from the equation of your life that you're like, that is not what I wanted. Well, that you literally can go into your mind, you can find the programs and you can get very clear on, oh, that's what's the equation is. Well, this is why I'm getting the output. Well, let's alter the equation. Then the output changes. It's mental programming 101. It's powerful. Tell them a little more.
Yeah. So mental programming let's put it, let me, if I can speak a little science. Yeah?
Science it up, dude. Yeah.
If the audience doesn't mind some science.
The best way to lead into science is to say, science it up, dude.
Science it up.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
So what scientists are learning is that your perception makes reality. Okay. And they learned this from a study that comes from the dual slit experiment that was done in the 60s.
Yes.
And might even be older than that, but for sure in the 60s. And they shot a beam of light through two slits. And when they didn't have a camera on observing it, it performed as a wave. When they turned on the camera, it performed as a particle. Basically, they saw a wave pattern without the camera on, and then they saw like scattershot, like buckshot is what it looked like with the camera on.
Okay.
How it impacted the film. So it was a really big conundrum for them. They're like, what is going on? How is it when I turn the camera on, it does this, and I turn it off, it doesn't?
Yeah.
And so
how did they see it when the camera wasn't on? How did they know it was a wave?
they have a film. So the light hits the film and gives a pattern.
Oh, cool. So then they pull the film out of the box. And okay.
Yeah. And it would show the pattern.
Okay.
And so what they determined there, and it just really sparked the idea of how perception, consciousness creates reality. Because when they were observing, the light particleized. So it makes you wonder, when you're not observing, what are the things that you're not observing? Do they exist? Or are they just in waveform?
What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what the scientists think.
Okay.
So a couple of years ago, scientists won the Nobel Prize in Physics. And they determined that reality is non-local, which basically means, like, there's this question, which is this. If a tree falls down in a forest and no one's there to observe it, does it make a sound? They would just say there is no tree because no one's observing it. The tree doesn't exist until someone is observing it. So their claim is that consciousness is what creates reality. The reality that's presented in front of you is made by your observation of it.
It's deep, man.
It is deep.
It is deep. So if we were to go from 100-foot depth to 50, how would we break that? Because this is one of Kent's superpowers. He can take the most profound thing and break it down. And most of you that are watching probably clearly understood what he said. I have a tendency to be like, tell me again. Oh, okay, then I get it.
Yeah, I'll help you.
Yeah,
I'll help you,
me.
Jay. I know your audience got it, but I'll help you.
They got it. They for sure got it. Yeah.
So let's make it really practical.
Okay.
When you're living life, you have a set of facts that are inside your mind.
Okay.
That say, this is what my life is. Right? You have an image of yourself. You have an image of your family members. You have an image of what work looks like. You have an image of what relaxation looks like, what fun looks like, what the future looks like, what the past looks like. All of these images, these data set, these are all considered facts in your mind, even though they're not facts. I mean, you can think of the image you have of your wife, which you should know her pretty well. And you pull that up in your mind, it's not going to be accurate compared to who she is in reality, right? There's going to be some discrepancies.
Right.
So even what we hold as fact is not fact because we don't have the ability to perceive things fully, right?
Right.
So what this means is your facts, though, whatever you factually believe is true about reality is how it will show up for you. That is how you observe reality, and that's how it particleizes, and that is how it appears for you.
I love it.
So let me tell a story.
Okay.
I was talking to this woman just last week, and she was telling me how she hasn't been able to get her sales going.
Okay.
She's a real estate professional. She's a real estate agent, I believe. And she's just like, it's just been tough times. That's what she said.
Okay.
Notice how she says it, right? Like that's fact to her.
It is
It's just been tough times. That's fact to her.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, I want to change that fact. in your mind. I want to help you make it so this is the time of my life. This is when I'm generating the most sales ever, because whatever you hold to be true on the inside, you will see it on the outside.
True.
And so for her, I told her this. I said, well, what was going on before all that happened? She's like, well, I was doing really well in LA, and I was selling a ton of homes, and I was making a ton of money. And it was after my first divorce. And then I met this new guy, my second husband, and we started dating, and I got married, and he collapsed my whole empire.
Oh dear.
Took all the money.
Yeah.
Ruined her name.
Yeah.
And just put a lot of stress and trouble in her life. And she's divorced him. And then after the divorce, he's now filed lawsuits against her to get more money.
Oof. Okay.
So when you listen to that, you're like, oh man, how do I help this person? Right.
Right.
Well, when you understand that her facts make reality, it's really easy to help that person.
How do you get her to understand that her facts make reality?
But you got to help. You got to be good at what you do, right? 100%. You got to be really good at what you do to show the pattern in her life. And so I asked her some questions. I said, and this is all about being sold on yourself.
Right.
This is all it is, right? I asked her some questions. I said, so before the collapse, how far away were you from being financially free? I'm just curious. She said, 2 years. Like 2 years away. You would have been financially free in 2 years. She's like, yeah, 2 years away. And I said, did you have any family members that were financially free before you? She goes, no. She goes, my family are a family of immigrants. They came to the US to look for the American dream. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, another question I have for you. What was the negative motivator that drove you to create wealth? Now, this is not the normal question that people ask. A lot of them are like, what inspires you to make wealth, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted to know, what was that motivator that was negative in nature that propelled her to make wealth? The negative motivator for her, she answered this. She said, I didn't want financial insecurity. Okay, so here's where, when you're really good at what you do with this, you understand something. What they don't want is what they're going to get.
True.
So she says, I don't want financial insecurity. She's created a contrast in the facts of her mind, right? Because remember, your facts become your observation becomes reality. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The contrast is there's financial freedom and there's financial insecurity. I either have financial insecurity or I have financial freedom. Right? Right. So I'm seeing that. I'm like, okay, well, it would make sense that at some point, if you have that fear would materialize.
Right. So you get a divorce and then marry someone else who can help create it.
Who can help create it.
Yeah.
The issue is that no one wants to take responsibility as the person that made the mess.
No, they do not.
So they like to find excuses.
Yes, they do. Everybody. Yes.
And so they find an excuse that they can make the scapegoat, they can pin the problem on. And then when it collapses, it's not their fault. So in a sense, nothing that she did professionally caused the collapse. It was only a decision she made in her personal life.
Everything's connected.
She would have just kept succeeding professionally had she never made that decision. But she had the fear in her mind, and when the fear is there, it feels like it has to materialize. And so I told her that. I said, you want to know my hot take? That's what I say. She goes, what's that? I said, you used your husband as an excuse so that if you failed, it wouldn't have been you. And she, I will give her a lot of credit. She's very, very teachable at this point and very humble. And I think maybe her circumstances definitely humbled her to the point where she was willing to listen. And she gets off the call and she was like, okay, I want to invest more in myself is what she got from the call. She sends me a text message an hour later. She goes, my lawyer just sent me this. And I read it. It says, hey, your ex-husband's chosen to walk away from the lawsuit.
Really?
Walked away from the lawsuit. Now, check this out. It didn't end there. So the next day, she sends me another text. She goes, hey, that wasn't the only good news. I just signed a deal in real estate worth $5.5 million. And I'll get commission out of that.
Beautiful.
That's really good commission. I said,
Right.
what's that going to do for you? She's like, I can pay off all my debts. All of them, all in one sweep.
Beautiful.
So what happened here? What I do in my profession is I look at reality as malleable,
Okay.
as something that there are not set in stone things about your reality. Your circumstances can change 1 minute to another, but you have to know how to guide your own mind through that. And you have to understand where the pitfalls are, remove those pitfalls, and then put in new things in the mind that are new facts
To observe so they become reality.
so that they become reality. Yeah.
That's very, very basic. Great. Beautiful.
Not too deep?
No, that makes perfect sense. I don't know that, I'm sure you could, but I think that taking mental programming or observation any more shallow would be very challenging, because that was very like, this is it.
That's just what it is.
Yeah.
And so the key is also having the right tools to access the subconscious mind where these facts are held.
Okay.
Because sometimes it's like people wake up in the morning, they're like, I'm the best salesman of the day, right? Then they go knock a door and it didn't go well, and they're like, I suck. It's just like that every day. It's like I wake up, okay, today's going to be the day.
Facts can change very quickly.
Yeah,
I'm the best today. I suck.
Today's the day I'm going to do it. And maybe they're talking themselves into it. But here's the issue. They feel the weight subconsciously that it's not true. So they're trying to convince themselves that it is. But they can't get past it because they don't have the tools of the subconscious to be able to pull that out.
Gotcha.
To be like, this is not true because of this. I learned this. I let this go. Now I adapt and adopt this. Sometimes I think of it like, did you play Nintendo 64 growing up, or Nintendo?
I played normal Mario and Duck Hunt a couple times.
But the cartridge.
Yeah,
You
where you have
stick
to
the
blow
cartridge in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's mental programming is a lot like changing cartridges out. Right?
Okay, yeah.
Where it's just like, this game sucks.
Yeah.
You toss it aside and you're like, I like this game more. You put it in.
That makes sense.
Like that's about as simple as I can make it.
That's actually that's a great analogy. So will is used a few times, and I've heard you use it a couple times. It's the operating system. So it used to be cartridges. Now it's just a software update, which is really what the mind is. It's simply just a software update of like, oh, that program is not working. There's some viruses in that.
Yeah.
Here's a new one.
Yep.
Okay.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. They may just need an all new software, not an update, but just a new software too.
Cool. So what tools does Upgrade have available? Because here's the reason this is a second guest from the same company. William Lamb, who you guys saw in the first episode and who Ken is referring to, profoundly impacted my life. Profoundly. Like completely took out the Duck Hunt. No, he didn't, because the Duck Hunt game still plays in my life. Took out the game that I was like, oh, that doesn't make sense, and put in a new game. And then a couple months later, took it out again and put in a new one. And the pattern has repeated itself over and over and over again, and just upgrading my mind and thinking differently and viewing the world differently. And the idea that we discussed with Kelsey on the other show of our greatest limitations are the things we haven't considered. That's from the founder of NLP. So this world has profoundly impacted my world. And so that's why we have Ken on. And so with Upgrade, what do you guys offer that maybe the listeners could go out and get a little taste of like, oh, this is who I am running this program, and it's poopy.
So this would be the first thing I would do.
Okay.
We have a quiz that's diagnostic, and it will tell you what program you're running that is causing the problems that you're seeing.
Okay.
So for example, you can take a quiz and it might say you're running the Success-Burnout loop, which is a subconscious loop where, for example, some really successful people is that have success. They might feel the high of success feels less and less as they keep having more success. And that at the end, it's like, what are they chasing? Because there's not really the high anymore.
Right.
So subconsciously what happens in that individual is they feel like collapsing all the success because there's no high unless they failed.
Gotcha.
So they live in a success failure paradigm.
Okay.
And without the failure, they can't have the high of success. So they need to collapse it. Even after making it to the top, doing really well, I've seen it before where people have done things to try and collapse it so they can get that high back.
Right. Burn it to the ground.
They'll burn it to the ground.
We built it, burn it. Built it, burn it.
Built it, burn it.
Yeah.
Basically is what it is, because the high of trying again, doing again might get them attention.
Yeah.
It might get them, you know, the excitement of a big sale, or they've been so negative motivated, they ran out of motivation because they had their negative motivator driving them.
Yeah.
So they have to collapse it so they can get the motivation back and the drive for life and the passion for life.
Yeah.
The issue is that people that have done this 2-3 times, they're sick of it.
Dude, it's so exhausting. It's like, have you ever seen Seabiscuit?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know how they have to hold the horse back so that it can make eye contact with Seabiscuit. So Seabiscuit's like, oh, now I got to go.
Yeah.
What if we could just go? That's mental programming. What if Seabiscuit could just get right out the gate and just go and just dominate? That's really what the mental programming has done for me. Of the whole idea of the underdog. I love a good Seabiscuit is an underdog story. I love the underdog story. But what if you could just win now? What if we could just win now? What if the program was not that, oh, we have to go through all this hardship and trial and just this is so miserable. Let's just go right now. Let's just go and win right now. You follow what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. So this will be, do you mind if I do a little more science? I won't go so
No,
deep.
science it up, dude.
No, not
science
so
it up.
deep.
That's what we say around here. Science it up.
Real quick. So this board's going to run out of data in 8 minutes.
Okay.
So if we go past that, I'll just need to dump it. We'll just have to take a short break. But other than that, I got about 8 minutes left.
How does that happen? How does it?
It's the cards inside of it. I should have been offloading the data entirely. I would just copy it and bring it back in. So it's a little full. But
He's so good at his science. Go ahead.
So we're going to science it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
So you know how at the beginning I was talking about that image of the future self?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then agreeing that that's the image that you want in the future. And then it starts materializing. Mm-hmm. So when you think of time, scientists talk about the time-space continuum, right? That time has a fabric and space has a fabric, right?
Okay.
Time and space are actually really, really similar, but just kind of mirrors of each other. So let me explain. You measure space in distance between physical objects. You measure it in height. You measure it in depth and size.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So like you have a beautiful mountain over here.
Stop
You
it.
could look at it and it is a beautiful mountain. I saw it and I was like, no wonder he chose this place to live. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You could look at that mountain and you go, I'm going to that mountain. Mm-hmm. So you decide and you go to the mountain.
Correct.
Right? And that's how space works. Yeah. Time, how it works is very similar. It's not physical objects, it's possibilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
It's like, I see that possibility over there and that one and that one and that one. I see that possibility. It looks like a mountain. Right? It's like, there, I see myself there. I see myself there. And you measure it in future and you measure it in past and you measure it in present.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's like size of possibility, even magnitude or smaller. And in quantum physics, what they say is that all possibilities are happening simultaneous right now. So whatever possibility you want is a possibility even right now. And this is the interesting thing. So if you look at that future version of yourself and you say, what if we take that future version of myself and let's bring it to right now?
Right.
You've all of a sudden collapsed time around that journey. You can do that in the mental space because it's all imaginary anyway. You don't have to roll a rock.
Okay. I'm following you.
So when people have made these decisions, one story here, I helped this guy that was at a big company. We're talking multi-billion-dollar company.
Okay.
And he was in sales. He was a sales manager at the time. And I asked him, I said, why don't you just make more money at your job rather than going into real estate and do stuff there? Or eventually you can do both, but like, couldn't you just get the progress you want right at the company you're at? He's like, I hadn't considered that. I said, what's that future version of yourself that does that?
Yeah.
He goes, well, I get promoted to vice president or something. And he goes, but that might not happen. And I said, well, have you even spoke to your supervisor about it? Have you spoke to someone? And he's like, no, I haven't even had the conversation. I said, I'm going to tell you what to say in the conversation, which, by the way, part of our trainings is influence training, sales training, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I said, I want you to go to him and say, listen, I want to get promoted into a leadership role, an executive role. Tell me, what do I need to show you between now and that point that when I do it, you just promote me? And you're like, you did it. I'm promoting you. Right.
Yeah.
And the guy he's talking to, his boss, he's like, this is interesting. You're saying what gave you the confidence to just like come in here and talk to me? He's like, well, I'm taking this training from Upgrade. And he's like, how much was the training? And he's like, well, my version was 20,000. The guy writes a check for 20 grand and hands it over to him.
Really?
Pays off his training for him.
Wow.
A few months later, he gets promoted to vice president.
Yeah.
No, I told him this. I said, I got one issue with your promotion. You're not a vice president kind of guy. You're a president. He started freaking out, right?
Yeah.
Because what am I doing, right? Scientifically, I'm saying, let's look at this future version of you and let's bring it to now.
Right.
Let's not let it be in the future. This is why people chase their dreams rather than having them. It's because they displace their dreams in the future rather than bringing them now.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, why not now?
Right.
He's like, I'm too young. I'm too inexperienced. There's other people in the seats. I just got promoted. There's no one that made
His
a
facts
vacancy.
that he's observing.
He's giving me all these facts of how he's observing, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, so what? You mean they don't want someone young and good looking to lead them? He's like, no, I would want that. I don't want fat, ugly people leading me. I'm like, that's right. Gotta be sold on yourself, right, Dale?
Man, you gotta be sold on yourself, dude. It's a thing.
You gotta be sold on yourself.
Yeah.
And he's like, but there's no vacant spot. And I'm like, why don't you just observe there being a vacant spot? 3 months later, he got promoted to president. He said, I saw the biggest check I've ever seen in my entire life when I got that promotion. It's huge. And he's like, dominated all of his goals that he set with me.
Yeah.
Why? Because we made the future become present.
Dude, that makes perfect sense to me, man. I do have a question real fast. So when we're talking about bringing the future version to the present and bypassing time and space, a scripture that kept coming to mind is in Revelations, where God talks about being Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Everything is before him at once. Having the background you do in religion and putting together the curriculum and all that fun stuff. What are your thoughts on that?
It's true. I mean,
it's true.
God is omnipresent, right? The reality that he lives in is the reality with a capital R.
Okay.
There's no illusions in his reality. He lives in one that of the actual functionality of the universe.
Okay.
Where time and space are one and happening all at the same time in front of you. So it would make sense that is how he observes time and space.
Right.
Right. Now we live in an illusion, which is that there is time and there's space and all of this stuff that is existing around us. And God does not live in that illusion. So it's really when you think about this, what I've been talking about, bringing that future version of yourself to now, or the things in the future to now, is really just learning to see reality through the eyes of God. Because you're not going to talk to God and be like, do you think you could do this tomorrow? He's like,
I can do it right now.
Like it's already done.
Right.
It's already finished. Like, do you want it or not? Right. And you're like, well, if I make enough money, maybe I could get it. He's like, why would you choose that possibility? Just, do you want it or not? There's a possibility where you just get it now.
I like that. Okay. So final question.
Yeah.
Final question. If you could give someone some advice so they could be sold on themselves, looking through your filters and your frames and your background and expertise in programming, linguistics. Did I say it right? I said it right.
You said it right. Not linguini. It was good.
Not noodles. But if, with your expertise and experience, if you could give the listeners some advice of how they could be sold on themselves, what would you say?
Yeah, I like that you put me on the spot here. For sold on yourself, it's really, when it comes down to it, that image of yourself that you want needs to be one you love. That's the best way to be sold on yourself.
That's powerful, dude.
So when you look at the future, like how I started the podcast, right? You look at a version of you that maybe the version you have now is not one that you enjoy. And a lot of people have that, you know, it's not like you're the only one there that doesn't like yourself. You know, a lot of people have that, right? They have an image of themselves they don't enjoy. The key is to find an image of yourself that you do, and then become congruent or accepting or believe and make fact that that image of yourself is now. Right? Now, I'm glad we brought up God too, because he can be one of the best teachers of what that looks like.
Okay.
If you ask, I mean, think of this, right? God created the world in 6 days, and the seventh day he rested.
Right.
When it was done, what did he say?
It is good.
It is good.
Yeah.
So why would you label yourself as anything else?
Valid. Powerful. Very powerful. Okay. Thank you, man. I really, really appreciate you coming down on the podcast, taking time out of your busy schedule. So I think we're going to put a link to the quiz, the self-accessing.
Well, we just call it the loop quiz casually. Okay. You'll find out what subconscious loop you're running that keeps you stuck.
Okay. So I would highly encourage you, wherever the link is, find it on here, probably somewhere, find it, do the quiz, and it'll bring to awareness some unconscious programmings that you're not even aware that you're running. And once you can make the unconscious conscious, life becomes pretty easy and effortless. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Make it a great day.